Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to race number 3 of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. It's the Pennzoil 400 live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We had ourselves a pretty interesting second race of the season back at Phoenix last week, where we had a couple cautions to start out the race, and it was pretty tame for a vast majority. We had a really long green flag run till about 20-ish laps to go. We had a couple more cautions, but it wound up being the number 4, Tyler Belladonna, getting his first career NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series win. He and BB Hange are the only 2 winners thus far this season, as obvious as that is. So 2 races, 2 different winners to start off our 2024 tenure, and we're heading into our 3rd race of the season right here, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, our first 1.5 mile track of the year also mostly importantly, first track of March, to say the least. But I don't even know where I'm going because my brain is just, it's not working right now, but I'm going to do the absolute best that I can. It usually doesn't work when it comes to commentating races mostly because I'm a little rusty at it, but we're going to do the best that we can for our 3rd race of the season. It should be very fun to watch. 134 laps to distance from here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It should be very fun. So before we reveal the starting lineup and get these cars rolling, let's go ahead and look at your point standings coming into this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You see right there on your screen, of course, BB Hange still holds on to the points lead with 93 points in his pocket. 9 points back is our previous winner, Tyler Belladonna, with 82 points in the bank. Tied for 3rd place is Michael Young and Will Parrish, both with 73 points in their pockets. And due to Google Sheets physics, Michael Young breaks that tie. 2 points back from Young and Parrish is Mitchell O'Brien with 71 points in his pocket. Then we have another tie for, looks like, the 6th position. That is Dale Johnson II and Terry Walker, both with 63 in the bank. Then John Andrews, 55. Chad Gronkowski with 54. And Zachary Fitzwater completes the top 10 in the point standings with 53 points in his pocket. Take a look at the rest of your points heading into this weekend. Lots of drivers that could have had some pretty good runs, but unfortunately didn't really excel. I mean, Wyatt Walker, I think he was somewhere inside the top 20 or top 15-ish. I'm not sure. But as far as some of these other drivers, Travis Crampton, towards the end of the race, had himself a pretty good shot at maybe getting himself a top 10, but unfortunately got caught up in that huge pileup on the front straightaway with just 10 laps to go. Jeremiah Simpson amongst those who were collected, who went tumbling down the front straightaway on the dog leg. He also was en route for a pretty decent finish, but right now you see right there, he's sitting 40th in the standings, 8 points in his bank. It's still very early in the season, so it's possible where he could bounce back. Our Daytona 500 pole sitter could just bounce back here for today's race at Vegas, but he's gonna have a lot of work cut out for him, so should be fun to watch. Now let's go ahead. Let's review your starting lineup here for the Pennzoil 400. As you see there, Val Mosco sitting on the pole position with Sammy Cars lined up to his outside. Then you have Bryce Egan, Alex Sanvitali, DK Wood, and PJ Vidal, Nia Steidel, Ryan Durrani, a couple Stewart Haas Racing cars. And row number 5, completing your top 10, that'd be Matthew Hubert and Avon Murray. Rounding out the top 10. Then you have Dale Johnson, John Andrews, Jones, Fitzwater, Taylor, Rampus, Roberto Crown Jr., John Felber. Then Josh Lee, Will Parrish completing the top 20. Mitchell O'Brien, Bob Floyd, Travis Crampton, Edson Hernandez, Derek Hamill, who had the lead with about 20 to go. He was amongst some of those drivers that ended up staying out, I believe, and unfortunately was not able to bounce back. And I don't think he got the best results back at Vegas, but at Phoenix, excuse me. But you see the rest of your starting lineup right there. Of course, our points leader BB Hange starting shotgun on the field. Back in the very last row in the 41st position. there is a pretty good chance where if he doesn't get a good finish leaving here at Vegas heading into our next race in Bristol in 2 weeks, he might not be the points leader. Tyler Belladonna, I think there might be the same case for him. With the points being as close as they are, we might see the points definitely shake up once again heading into Bristol in just 2 weeks. But before we see that, we got to get past this race right here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Should be very fun to watch. And we're glad that you could join us here for live cup racing here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's go trackside to get the command.
Drivers, start your engine!
Engines are fired, pace car is rolling off, and so are these 42 competitors. 134 laps to distance here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Our third race of the season. After this race will be an eighth of the way through this season. And so far it has not disappointed. Of course, with the Daytona 500 being caution free, still saw some pretty good racing, good strategies over it back just a few weeks ago. Then last week at Phoenix, similar scenario, had a couple cautions, had about, I think it was about 3 or 4 yellow flags. I think it was 3 yellow flags during that entire event. Long green flag runs, had some wrecks, but more importantly, saw some great racing. And here today, first mile and a half track here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 134 laps of distance. Let's see what kind of racing we're in store for. Pace car drops to pit road. Val Moscow, Sammy Cars will lead the field to the green flag to get this race started. Green flag, we're racing in Las Vegas. Good start for Hendrick Motorsports as Moscow breaks out with the top spot. Bryce Egan had it for just a split, had the second spot for a split second, but he will have it crossing the start-finish line. He'll lead the first lap of action with Damian Kyle Wood in that third spot, trying to protect it from Sammy Cars in the 43, who gets a really good rocket around the outside. Great corner exit. So Wood's going to tuck in that fourth spot. Anaya Seidel, Alex Savantali fighting it out for fifth. Meanwhile, up front, the 200 cars, 88.5, Egan and Moscow have both checked out from the rest of the field, at least early in the going. Take a look further back over here. Savantali is going to break out with, looks like that's going to be for the 5th position. And this is something that we might be seeing all race long, that outside line getting a perfect launch on corner exit, especially over in turn number 2. Very notable to watch there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race goes. Still have a very long way to go. We might see these drivers kind of settle it down a little bit once they get themselves kind of situated right where they want to be. And we might see a little bit of single file here, but pit strategy is definitely going to shake things up. I can promise you that. So single file, at least for, I think you want to get back to about maybe, yeah, top 10 right now sitting single file until you get back over here. 3 wide, Skylar Taylor try to get underneath of the 27 of Dale Johnson and Ava Murray, but Taylor was unsuccessful at that 3 wide maneuver, but that did hinder the number 30's progress of trying to gain some positions here, especially on the 27 of Dale Johnson. Was not quite successful there. Let's see if he can try to make a pass going into turn number 1. Not going to be the case. He's just going to tuck right in on the back bumper of the number 27. Nice title, and that number 41 tried to get a position on PJ Vidal, was unsuccessful at that. Now Matthew Hubert in the 23, shoved up on the outside, just made some contact with the outside wall there, just grazed it, but he's still going. in the number 23 machine. Now battle for ninth is on between Matt Jones and Matthew Hubert. Dale Johnson the second trying to make it 3 abreast. But Hubert is going to retain the 9th position. And Johnson is going to follow right into the tire tracks in the number 78. Meanwhile, battle for the looks like the 11th position is on between Murray, Taylor, and John Andrews, who swipes the back bumper in the number 15. Didn't actually make any contact with him, so that's a good thing. We're still racing. Roberto Crown Jr. trying to gain a position here on John Andrews. That would be for the 14th position. 3 cars lined up on the inside with Crown, Rampus, and Bob Floyd. And Skylar Taylor now just outside of the top 10. He went from 13th. Looks like that's going to be 11th. Actually, no, still 13th. Sorry, I thought he gained a couple positions off of that, but not the case whatsoever. Here comes Zachary Fitzwater in the number 9, trying to make a move on Alex Rampus going into turn number 3. He moves Rampus up high, but that middle groove there is just so strong on corner exit. It's just so hard to try to make that pass work, especially on corner exit, as we're seeing. So it's going to be, so as far as passing here today, it is going to be very, very, very difficult to complete passes. It's going to be easy to try to start them, but as you're going to see here, completing the pass is going to be a whole different story, and that's why we're seeing a lot of that single file here. Not the most appealing thing in the whole world, but just wait till pit stops come around. That might change. It's going to shake up the field, that's for sure. I wouldn't say in the most earth-shattering ways, but it will shake the field up for sure. 10 laps complete. So far, no changes. As far as the front 2 are concerned, Moscow still putting on a clinic. He's led ever since the drop of the green flag. Bryce Egan, after starting 3rd, he's still in the 2nd position. Our outside pole sitter, Sammy Kars, trying to go on defense here for this 3rd position here, but trying to defend it from Damian Kyle Wood. This who is sitting in 4th, Alex Savatali, who has come into this season with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of determination, and knows he can actually get good finishes. Hasn't been in the best of positions to do so, but Savatali, who finished 12th, I believe, last weekend at Phoenix, comes into this race currently sitting inside of the top 5 as of right now. 13 laps complete. So far, doing an absolute nice job here, trying to get used to these Cup cars, and he's doing just a masterful job, especially for his first McDonald's Cup Series season. As far as past history is concerned, yes, he amongst a lot of other drivers are in their first McDonald's Cup Series seasons. But so far, Savatali, determined to try to get a win, determined to improve, and so far, he's following through on exactly what he's wanting to do, and he's doing an absolutely amazing job in this number 26 machine. So 14 laps complete. Everybody has started to settle down until you get back over here with Travis Crampton and Bob Floyd fighting it out for position. Will Parrish just jumped up to the outside. They know that is where the runs are coming from. Is right around that top side. You see Parrish there just getting into the, just grazing the outside wall coming off of turn number 4, but still managing to keep the car straight. And we are still clean and green for the time being. Hernandez flirted with 3 wide for a moment going through turn number 1. Not the case. 3 wide is just not going to be the case today, as so far everybody's still keeping their cool right now. Just doing an absolutely nice job, trying to get themselves into a decent green flag rhythm, not worrying too much about trying to gain as many positions as possible. Unless if you're running up on that outside line, then that's a whole different story. So far we're seeing some pretty decent action for what it is. You see Rampus getting around John Felber on the outside. That would be for 19th. It looks like Felber was trying to take the 19th position away from Alex Rampus, and it just was unsuccessful at it. He's going to try it again here going into turn number 3. But as Felber is going to find out again, that outside line is just way too strong there on corner exit. It's just such a strong corner here. Penske teammates fighting it out. That is for... Looks like that's for the 22nd position. Crampton is going to take that away. Or he's going to retain it, I should say. And now Parrish is being forced up on the outside by Derek Hamill. And that probably is all but good news for him, as Parrish, who ended up spinning last weekend at Phoenix, which pretty much triggered the turn of events that all the events that we did see towards the closing laps, of closing stages of Phoenix last weekend. Actually, I believe rallied back for a pretty decent finish, still holding on inside of the top 10 of the point standings. Just doing an absolutely amazing job right now, trying to keep that car in one piece. And looks like they're flirting with 3 abreast here, going through turn number 1. But Felber is going to be the victor in that fight. And he takes off with, looks like, the 19th position over Alex Rampus and everybody else behind him. So far, this is where a lot of the action is, towards about mid-pack. Everybody else further up ahead is just gone single file at this particular rate, so not a whole lot is going on inside of the... I can talk, as you can tell, but not a whole lot is going on towards the front of the pack. Everybody, all the action is right around towards mid-pack. If we take a look here, you see right here from Mitchell O'Brien, that's about the first 18 cars that are currently sitting single file, not worrying too much about trying to gain more track positions, unless if you're PJ Vidal and Alex Savantali. That's going to be the fight for the 5th position. So far, Vidal is just unsuccessful at trying to get to the inside of the 26 and falls right back in line in the 6th position. But everybody towards the front of the field right now with 23 laps complete. They're all just conserving their stuff. They're not worrying too much about trying to gain as much track position as possible. They're getting themselves into a green flag rhythm, not worrying at all about what's going on. More importantly, they're not worrying too much about, as I mentioned, gaining as many spots on the track as possible. They're not trying to win it on lap number 1. Let's just put it like that. They're not trying to win on lap 1. So everybody right now is just taking care of their stuff. They're taking care of their tires. They're waiting for this first round of green flag stops to come around. And from there, that is going to change up the complexity. Well, it's pretty much going to shake up the running order. And as I mentioned, it's probably not going to be in the most earth-shattering ways, but it will change. That's for sure. So looking back through the field here, Alex Rampus retaining a position over Michael DeFeo. That would be for the 23rd position. Maybe 24th, as Hamill is out ahead of Rampus, at least crossing the stripe. He did gain a position on over Alex Rampus, so move Hamill up to 23rd. Here comes Wyatt Walker on Michael DeFeo. That would have been for 25th, but DeFeo using that outside line to his advantage. He darts to the inside of the 32 of Rampus. And so far, DeFeo just unsuccessful at it. And looking back over here, this is another battle for the 27th position between Daniel Adams and also Edson Hernandez. If you're just tuning in, so far we're 27 laps complete, and everybody else is just minding their own P's and Q's, not worrying too much about gaining as much track position as possible. But so far, 28 laps complete. We've been caution-free ever since the drop of the green flag. Val Mosco has led every single lap, with Bryce Egan sitting in the 2nd position, and then Sammy Cars, our outside pole sitter for this race, sitting in 3rd. Then in the 4th position would be the number 38 of Damian Kyle Wood. Then 5th position would be Alex Savitali, then PJ Vidal, Nia Steidel, Ryan Durrani, Matthew Hubert, and Matt Jones. That is your top 10, with now coming to 30 laps complete here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And we are coming up to our first round of green flag stops eventually at some point. I want to say maybe around, give it to probably about lap 40, 42-ish. That's just my guesstimate as to when that pit window is going to open for these drivers, and it's going to shake up the running order pretty decently. But let's look further back in the field where a little bit more of the action is. It's pretty much back here at this point. And as you see right here, that's our points leader, the number 95 of BB Hange, who won the Daytona 500 just 2 weeks ago, coming into this race with 93 points in his pocket. And right now, currently here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, he's only gained 3 positions. He started 41st on the field, and now he's currently sitting in the 38th position so far. Not looking too good for BB Hange here at Las Vegas for our 3rd race of the season, but it is still pretty early in the year thus far. So it's still kind of easy to gain a few positions on the point standings. It's also easy to lose positions on the point standings as well. So for BB Hange, he's gonna have to play his cards right when it comes down to the pit strategy, and he better hope and pray that he can get himself back up inside of the top 10, so that way he can retain his points lead heading into Bristol in just 2 weeks. Looks like battles are now starting to form up once again towards mid-pack there, as you see Michael DeFeo ahead of Wyatt Walker, who is in the midst of a 3-wide situation. Breaks himself out of that ordeal. And now Edson Hernandez trying to get around Tatiana Noguera around the outside. He's going to successfully do just that. And he'll dart to the inside of the 55, and not successful at that move. And DeFeo tried to get around Alex Rampus. He was unsuccessful at that. He didn't even start the pass. He's going to try to here in turn number 3. And as you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, it is just absolutely hard to pass here at Las Vegas, especially with that outside line being just the strongest line right now, especially on corner exit. With nearly every single time that outside line is just prevailing. Meanwhile, up front, towards the front of the field, that's for 8th. This is all going on here for the 8th position. Ryan Durrani, they're starting to get a little bit racy up here. Durrani, I think, tried to gain some positions here, but that's going to cost him a little bit, because here comes Matthew Hubert and Dale Johnson II. Rocketing around the outside. Here he put Hubert in the 8th position and put Johnson in 9th. Kick Ryan Durrani back over inside, just on the spot of falling outside of the top 10. Matt Jones looking all over the back bumper of this number 14 as they hit the back straightaway. Heading back into turn number 3. Back up front, we might have ourselves a battle for second on our hands very soon. Either that, or maybe once green flag pit stops start rolling around, as they work their way off of turn number 2, down the back straightaway. So far, everybody just kind of minding their own P's and Q's. Maybe some racing for position, like for example up here with Will Parrish and also Travis Crampton. Advantage Will Parrish, who managed to get up to the outside line and pass the number 22 of Crampton. That would be for the 21st position. So one more spot there for Will Parrish, and he'll be able to move up inside of the top 20. Coming around to 40 laps complete, and we are just working towards the window where pit stops are going to be probably happening here very, very soon. I would have to say, like I said, right around lap 40 to 42, we're in that window. Maybe lap 45 is when pit stops may begin, but only time will tell. Let's take a look further back in the field to see if we can find any more action taking place. So far, not a lot happening over here towards the mid-pack. Everybody now, this whole field over here is just basically compiled up into one huge pack that's all nose to tail, not even giving each other an inch. See our Phoenix race winner Tyler Belladonna, who ended up winning it, getting around Dale Johnson the second with 3 laps to go, and never looked back to get his first win of the season. A runner-up in the point standings currently right now on track currently sits in the 31st position. So both are runner-up and points leader not faring too well here in this race. So this is a perfect opportunity for any other driver that's higher up in the point standings or higher up in the running order to pick up some really, really good points. This is the best opportunity to do just that. And possibly for somebody else to take the points lead away. Meanwhile, further up in the field, John Felber and Bob Floyd are fighting it out for track position. So we look ahead on the spectator cam, heading down into turn number 3. Still pulling about dead even, but as you see there, Floyd had to lift going through the corner, and that allowed John Felber to secure the 19th position, rocketing around the outside. And there's our lead 18 cars still kind of sitting single file. They're just buying their time. Coming around off turn number 4, 45 laps complete. They'll have to pit at some point. I know that for a fact. They will indeed have to pit. They will indeed have to pit at some point, but so far everybody just currently sitting single file, waiting for the call to come on down to pit road. But everybody right now, they're just currently just sitting and riding. Unless if you're Bob Floyd and John Felber, they're still fighting it out for track position. At least Floyd really is determined to try to get that 19th position away from John Felber, but so far that just isn't the case. So we head down the back straightaway once again. Yeah, everybody is now settled down, single file, all in this big old choo-choo train. Yes, I know, that is not the most pleasant thing to see. That is definitely not the most exciting thing to see. But pit stops are coming around, so the running order will eventually be shaken up here at some point. We're just going to have to wait and see when they're going to come down to pit. I thought they would have... Oh, we had a crash on the front straightaway. And that involved Nathan Stapleton in the 42. What in the world? Who else did it involve? Did it involve the number... Yeah, I think Jeremiah Simpson's got some damage on his car, and also the 18. The 18 machine also has some damage. That's Michael Young. What in the world happened to Nathan Stapleton? If we ever get a caution flag, we're going to have to take a look at a replay to see what happened. So that is definitely not good news there for the number 42 of Nathan Stapleton. Such a tough break for him. Unfortunately, with damage on his number 42 machine, he's going to bring that car down onto pit road and get the damage assessed and get back out there, but he is going to be about a lap or two down. That is very unfortunate there for Nathan Stapleton. Had himself a couple good runs to start off the season. Unfortunately, this run is not going to be one of them. 50 laps complete. We are 17 laps away from the halfway point so far. Caution free, nothing much. Nothing much has happened other than what we just witnessed there with, oh, Tyler Belladonna and Colin Block with damage. And that's a caution flag. I did not even notice that the yellow flag was out, but looks like we had a little bit more there with Tyler Belladonna and also the number 98, Colin Block. And this actually is a perfect time for these drivers to come on down to pit road at this point. First caution of the day is out. It comes out on lap just past 50 laps complete. Val Moscow, Bryce Egan, Sammy Cars bringing all the cars down onto pit road. And we're definitely going to take a look and see what happened to Nathan Stapleton just after we look ahead and we look at what happened to cause our first yellow flag of the day. Looks like Chad Gronkowski also has damage to his race machine. Give me 1 second. Do apologize, had a little bit of a phlegm buildup. Looks like some of these drivers ended up taking 2 tires. Moscow's going to win that race off of pit road. And it looks like coming out second. Coming out second would be Bryce Egan. Then third would be Damian Kyle Wood. Fourth, Steidel. Fifth, Hubert. Then sixth would be Dale Johnson the second. Then Jones, Taylor, Savantali, and Sammy Cars, who did not have himself a good stop, so he's going to lose at least 7 positions once we cross the line. But actually, no, put Cars ninth, then Savantali. So crossing the line this time by, I do believe that, yes, indeed, Colin Block is unfortunately going to be out of this race. So if you're just now tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, we are just under our first caution flag of the race. It came out on lap number 50, just a little bit shy of 50 laps complete. We're going to go back and we're going to look and see what happened that caused our first caution of the race here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Oh, I'm surprised we didn't even see this. I'm surprised we didn't see this. So this is coming off of turn number 4. Tyler Belladonna, then Terry Walker. Right around the outside. Looks like Walker just slams into the wall, then right back down into Tyler Belladonna. And then from there, it is on. They are spinning in front of the field. Colin Block gets a piece of this. Chad Gronkowski, absolutely nowhere to go. And then Casey Wells. Both Tommy Baldwin racing cars were collected into this one. Great job by Stephen Colon, BB Haynes, and also Sebastian Palmer to get by this. Same for Michael Young. So a 5-car pileup over here on the front straightaway, just exiting turn number 4. I guess this is what's going to be happening here once the tires start to wear off and there's no more grip on these race machines. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this race is going to play out with all these issues happening. Let's go back and take a look at this at full speed. Right here with Belladonna and also Terry Walker. Not a whole lot of time to react, especially if you're in the scenarios of Block, Gronkowski, and also Casey Wells. Remember, Wells also came into this race 11th in the point standings. This is definitely not something that she wanted at all. On top of not having herself a good run in this race. So that kind of adds insult to injury. And as far as Colin Block, so far he is currently the only retiree in this event. And Tyler Belladonna, I believe, is going to still be out on the racetrack, but he is just with all that damage, he is obviously not going to be in contention for the race win. Now, let's go back and take a look at what happened to Nathan Stapleton. So we had ourselves, so it looks like actually, wow. So a similar scenario here, but this time it's between Jeremiah Simpson and Nathan Stapleton. And this all happened at the very back of the field. I'm surprised that it didn't cause a caution. But unfortunate thing there for Stapleton is that a yellow flag did not come out, and that did not, well, it just didn't quite help him. But eventually a yellow did come out, so he is able to rejoin the field, but not going to be on the lead lap whatsoever there. So definitely not a good thing there for Nathan Stapleton, what just happened there. But a caution did come, but it was way too late. And it came with Colin Block, Gronkowski, Wells, Walker, and as well as the number, I'm blanking out here. Sorry, I'm completely blanking out. Tyler Belladonna. You apologize for that, man. I'm completely blanking out. So now back to live action. Here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Remember, if you're just tuning in, we are working our first caution flag of the day here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Currently, our only retiree is the number 98 of Colin Block after a 5-car pileup on the front straightaway involving Terry Walker, Tyler Belladonna, Chad Gronkowski, man, I'm completely blanking out. Casey Wells. I am blanking out. I am just completely blanking out. And Colin Block, well, gosh, wow. I am so sorry, man. I'm just absolutely blanking out. That goes to show you that my brain is just absolutely not working. But Colin Block, currently the only retiree after he was involved in the 5-car pileup between him, obviously between himself, but also Tyler Belladonna, Casey Wells, Terry Walker, and Chad Gronkowski. But looks like Belladonna, obviously, as I mentioned, is still able to compete out on the racetrack. But however, he is a lap down with Nathan Stapleton, as we did just get one to go. So they're going to be going back under the green flag with these two, Belladonna and Stapleton, with a little bit of moderate damage. But unfortunately, that's just not gonna. They're just not going to be up to par with the rest of these guys. And the Joe Gibbs Racing cars of Jeremiah Simpson and Michael Young, so far those are the only two cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap. And Val Mosco still holding on to the race lead, coming around to complete 55 laps here in the Pennzoil 400, race number 3 of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series, coming to halfway in just a matter of a dozen laps. So top 5 coming to the restart. Of course, Val Mosco the leader, with Bryce Egan in second, then Damian Kyle Wood third, Nia Steidel in fourth, and Matthew Hubert completing the top 5. Green flag goes back in the air. And not as good of a start there for a lot of these other drivers. So let's see what happens here going back into turn number 1. Oh, not the brightest decision there for Bryce Egan. He goes down low in an effort to try to get the race lead away from Mosco. But these two, again, Belladonna and Stapleton, both have damage to their cars. So they're not going to be quite up to speed with the rest of these other guys. And that allows Mosco to check out with the lead. And Damian Kyle Wood coming around the outside to take the second position away, and they are 3 abreast again, and this is gonna be disastrous. And how in the world did they hold on to that? Oh, I don't think they're gonna hold on to this whatsoever. Johnson and Steidel rubbing tires there coming off of turn number 4. And they settle it back down there. How about that? Great piece of driving by all these drivers. keeping it together, and we're still green. However, though, as far as Damian Kyle Wood, who just took the second position away, he's got a lot of work to do in order to catch up to the number 88 of Val Moscow, who is checked out by almost 1 second. Still trying to get around Stapleton, but Stapleton's still just barely hanging on. I do suppose Stapleton does have not as much damage as what Tyler Belladonna would have. So he's able to keep up with the rest of the leaders. And that is definitely not something that Damian Kyle Wood wants to see whatsoever. He's wanting to get by this number 42 and quickly if he wants a shot at the race lead. And so far, Stapleton is not paying him any dividends at all. So Egan now in the third position. Steidl holding on to fourth, and then Skylar Taylor coming around the outside of Dale Johnson. That is going to be for the fifth position. And Alex Savantali, who restarted 10th in this race, has moved his way up to 7th, now trying to go on the attack for the 6th position over Dale Johnson. Back into 3. With 61 laps complete when they cross the stripe this time by. So far, 2nd through 5th are going at it for track position. And now here comes Steidl underneath of Bryce Egan with Skylar Taylor in tow. But remember, that outside line is just far too strong for anybody, far too strong to compete with. Especially on corner exits, as we've been seeing all race long. And all of this, Val Moscow is absolutely loving to see in his rear view mirror. 1.67 second advantage over Damian Kyle Wood. That's what Val Moscow has right now. Doing an absolutely amazing job, just putting on a clinic. And absolutely just dominating this race. So far, now it's a 2-second advantage. Heading back into turn number 1. With 63 laps complete, now Wood has finally managed to get around Nathan Stapleton. And as well as the number 41 of Steidl, she's managed to move up into the 3rd position, with Skylar Taylor now going up to 4th as they cross the stripe this time by. Looks like the inside line might be starting to come to life. Either that or Stapleton might be falling off just a little bit. I'm not too sure there. He managed to just get by Skylar Taylor to clear himself from all the traffic to his inside and out. But so far, Stapleton doing a nice job trying to hold his own, even though he is indeed now 2 laps down, actually. I thought he was 1 lap down, but he is actually 2 laps down. Coming around to begin the halfway lap this time by. Val Moscow leading the charge. 2.4 seconds now, cut down to 2.1 there between Moscow and DK Wood. Coming around this time by. Trying to get around Chad Gronkowski in this number 36. And we are going to be halfway home here in the Pennzoil 400 live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway here on Twitch. And if you're watching this from YouTube, hey, glad that you could be with us to enjoy live coverage of the Pennzoil 400 here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Obviously not the most pleasant racing in the whole wide world, I can admit to that, but for what it is, it's definitely not the most terrible thing. Oh, Johnson just hit the wall pretty hard there. And that is going to allow Josh Lee, who's now poking his head inside of the top 10 for the first time today, to secure the 9th position from Dale Johnson. Matt Jones now going to try to get around Savantali for the 6th position on the inside line, but Savantali saying absolutely not. I am determined to keep this 6th position and try to knock on the door of the top 5 once again. So far, everybody doing a nice job trying to get themselves back into a green flag rhythm. And so far, we're seeing some 3 abreast, but not the case now, as DeFeo backed out of it. Well, underneath of Ryan Durrani and Bob Floyd. Now Floyd slices from the top to the bottom, trying to get a position on Avon Murray. So far, unsuccessful at that. This would be for 13th position. So now, looks like Floyd try to get the nose underneath of the number 30. So far, not the case whatsoever. Coming off of turn number 4. Here's another battle. This would be for the 20th position. Walker with the advantage as they cross the stripe. And it looks like Sammy Cars just went a tad bit wide there going through 1 and 2, but give the advantage to Wyatt Walker as they hit turn number 3 and come out of turn number 4. And everybody's starting to settle back down to single file once again, but I would not count on that being the main stage of this green flag racing, especially with the caution that we had right around lap 50. So it could happen again right around lap 100. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens once we get into the triple digits. So now these cars are starting to work around Chad Gronkowski, who has, other than Tyler Belladonna, the most damage with heavy rear end damage and a small buckle on the hood, but it's enough for him to continue on, but he's just going to be in the way of a lot of these other cars. And as far as Stapleton is concerned, the only bad thing for the rest of these drivers is that he's able to hold his own, and he's definitely being a deciding factor as to, pretty much, he's not been a deciding factor. He's more so just been the spoiler to everybody's parties. As far as Stapleton is concerned, he's trying to get one of his laps back, and so far, he's holding his own. However, it is definitely angering a lot of these other drivers that he is able to keep up with everybody else, especially with the smallest amount of damage that he had with that little incident coming on the front straightaway when he was at the tail end of the field. But right now, Stapleton doing a nice job just keeping the car in one piece and not panicking too much. But Val Moscow, focusing back up at the front of the field, has now grown his lead to 3 seconds. Almost 3 seconds. Now it's down to 2.5 seconds there as they cross the stripe. One more second. I apologize. Had a little bit of a phlegm buildup again. Jesus. Not really a big fan of those, but the lead right now with Moscow is currently fluctuating because he had 2.41 seconds over Damian Kyle Wood, who cut it down by about 3/10. Now he's gained 2 more tenths. And Moscow has just been absolutely putting on a clinic, just dominating this race. Battle for second position. Looks like, ooh, that's kind of close there between Steidl and also Damian Kyle Wood, but give the second position to Steidl as they cross the line. They're still fighting it out for second position. And Damian Kyle Wood is going to take it right back as they head back into turn number 3. Skylar Taylor in the 4th spot. Finally managed to get around Nathan Stapleton. PJ Vidal. Oh. Stapleton just scraped the wall there coming off of turn number 4. So Vidal's going to successfully get by Stapleton. Now, Bryce Egan currently sitting in 6th. Then Josh Lee in 7th. Alex Savatali 8th. And then we have Dale Johnson the 2nd, 9th. And Matt Jones popping up inside of the top 10 for the first time today. Well, first time in a little bit today, actually. I believe he was inside of the top 10 earlier in the going, but so far, not quite the case. Well, actually, he might lose. I thought he was going to lose ninth, but he did not. So that's definitely a good thing there. But he's currently holding on to inside of the top 10, but hasn't been able to gain another position there. I thought he was going to have it over Dale Johnson, but that's just not the case. Savitali trying to get back up towards the top 5, kind of right where he was at the start of the race. Now he's getting around Josh Lee around the outside, using that launch off the corner exit to his advantage, moving up into the 7th position, securing the 7th position. Now he sets his sights on Bryce Egan, but he's got to get by Nathan Stapleton here first. So Steidl has successfully managed to take the 2nd position away from Damian Kyle Wood. But in order to catch up to Val Moscow, she's got a lot of work to do. 3.4 seconds is what she's going to have to make up in order to catch this number 88. This number 88, I am telling you, is just tough to beat, obviously, as you can tell. 3.5 seconds now is the advantage, but I don't count on that lasting for too long because you never really know. We could see another caution. It's gonna bunch everybody back up, and who knows? It just may. It just may shake up the point. It just may shake up the field again. It could also shake up the point standings as well. So you never really truly know what's gonna be happening here in just a matter of just about maybe another 15-ish laps. So another caution could be looming on the horizon for a lot of these other drivers. So we're just going to have to wait and see if that's going to be the case. Steidl managed to cut the lead down by about 0.4. Let's see what the gap is crossing the line this time. It has grown at least 1 more tenth. So 2 100ths would just gain there, but not the biggest difference in the world. We're going to focus up back through the field. RCR teammates going at it. That would be just outside of the top 10, so probably about 15th position. Mitchell O'Brien currently retaining that spot over Edson Hernandez, who slides way wide. And that opens the door for Will Parrish to drive underneath. Hernandez gets into the wall. And they are side by side, heading into turn number 1. Give the advantage to Will Parrish on corner entry. But on corner exit, give it to Hernandez. Coming around to 87 laps complete here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If you're just tuning in, we only had 1 yellow flag that came out towards lap 50 with a 5-car pileup between Colin Block, Terry Walker, Tyler Belladonna, and the 2 Tommy Baldwin racing cars of Chad Gronkowski and Casey Wells. And the only retiree in this race is Colin Block in the number 98 after that incident. Nathan Stapleton, you see him up front. He is not inside of the top 10. That's because he is currently 2 laps down after an incident on the front straightaway, which saw him get at least a little bit of damage to his car. Brought it to pit road, got some repairs, sent him back out, and currently he's up to speed with everybody else, which is good news for him, but bad news for everybody else because they're all trying to catch up and try to get the leader, but Stapleton is just right here, and he is definitely spoiling everybody's parties. Not that Stapleton means to, but this is where he is, and this is typically the spot that he would have to be in if he wants to gain his laps back the hard way. And that's passing the leader. And so far, Stapleton has not made any ground in doing that, as Moscow gets by Jeremiah Simpson. That would put him 1 lap down. And now he sets his sights on Michael Young. He's going to try to put him 1 lap down as well. Same could go for Casey Wells, who's also actually the last car 1 lap down. So should Moscow catch up to Casey Wells, that would put Wells at least 2 laps down. 3.3 seconds now between Moscow and Steidl. As Steidl has already hit the back straightaway, Moscow is already in turn number 3, now going through turn 4. So it looks like almost 3.5 seconds is about a half a straightaway lead there, as you could just see crossing the line now. And Moscow has already worked his way to turn number 2 with 92 laps complete here in the Pennzoil 400 live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So far, everybody's kind of just sitting around minding their own P's and Q's. Meanwhile, let's focus up on this battle. This is for the 10th position. Matthew Hubert around the outside of Matt Jones, put him up into the 10th position. And Michael DeFeo is going to go around Matt Jones as well. That's for 11th. Avon Murray getting around the outside of the number 14 of Ryan Durrani. Remember, Durrani at the beginning of last month ended up winning the Clash at New Smyrna in the most dramatic of ways, when Sebastian Palmer, who basically dominated every single aspect there was about the Clash, from his heat to the entire event, leading every single lap, all the way up to about 10 to go when he had that incident with Durrani's teammate Bob Floyd. And that set up Ryan Durrani to take over the race lead and eventually go on to win, with Palmer finishing in second. And I bet if you're Sebastian Palmer, that still stings quite a bit. And that is definitely not something that you want to repeat. That's definitely not a part of history that you want to repeat whatsoever. DeFeo now on the attack on Matthew Hubert as they hit the back straightaway going into turn number 3. And it looks like DeFeo is going to take the 10th position away from Matthew Hubert. And now he's going to use that run to try to get 2 birds with 1 stone. He kind of failed at that, heading back into turn number 1 this time. 96 laps complete, almost into the triple digits. The lead now between Moscow and Steidl is now down to 2.9 seconds. Samatali still trying to get by this number 42. So far, he's just been unsuccessful. But he's pulling up right alongside this number 20 and this number 42, heading back into 1. But Stapleton using that outside line to his advantage to try to stay up alongside this number 26, heading back into turn number 3. Josh Lee all over the back bumper of this number 26 as well. And Johnson is going to get by Matthew Hubert. That would be for the 10th position. So lots of jostling is going on here for this 10th spot. Matt Jones had it, then Hubert took it, then Michael DeFeo took it. Now Matt Jones has it back, and Matthew Hubert is starting to fall back. He is currently sitting in looks like the 12th position, as they have now completed 99 laps, coming over to lap 100 this time by. So once we cross the start-finish line, this time we'll be down to 34 laps of racing to go. We've only had 1 caution here in this race. That came out on lap number 50. And Val Moscow has led every single lap. So he'll easily, obviously, clinch 1 bonus point for leading the lap, the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps here in this race. And the only way that you could obviously accomplish securing those 5 bonus points is pretty much leading half the event. So leading at least above 67 laps in this case. And that is exactly what Moscow just did here. And if he can move on, and if he can win this race, obviously that would mean that he would clinch those 10 bonus points. So he would sweep all the points that you could possibly obtain in one singular race. Obviously, you'll get the 40. Yeah, I think it's the 40 points for winning. You'll obviously get the 40 points for winning. You'll get the 1 bonus point for leading a lap, the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, and then the 10 bonus points just for winning the race. So that would bring you up to about a 56 total points that you could gain. At least 56 total points that you could gain in one singular race. And so far, Moscow is well on his way to doing just that here, but he's got to hold on for another 30 laps, coming to 30 to go this time by. And we have not seen a single caution since around lap 50. And these drivers will have to stop at least one more time before they can take it all the way to the checkered flag. So we're just going to have to see how this goes, as they are now closing in on 29 laps of racing to go here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Pennzoil 400. Oh no! Oh no! Michael Young just got turned up into the outside wall. We had another crash. Oh no! Bryce Egan and PJ Vidal got caught up. And that is another caution flag. I was about to mention we had another incident just before the deal between Young and also the other car took place. Lots of damage to this number 83 of Sebastian Palmer. I also saw Tatiana Noguera on pit road with also Stephen Colon. This must have been a huge pileup. Tyler Belladonna involved again with Terry Walker. Bryce Egan, who was sitting in the 6th position, ran inside of the top 10 all day long, is not going to see the checkered flag. Well, to be technical with you, he will see the checkered flag, but he's not going to be on track to take it. That's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate there for Bryce Egan. And also PJ Vidal, who is also having himself a great run in this race. Top 5, pretty much for the vast majority of the day. And unfortunately, he's going to go out of the race on lap 106. Moscow wins the race off of pit road. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. BB Hange comes out second, with Nia Steidel third. Damien Kyle Wood coming out fourth. Then fifth would be Skylar Taylor. Then Josh Lee coming out 6th. Matt Jones coming out 7th. Michael DeFeo 8th. Savantali and Mitchell O'Brien would complete your top 10 coming out of pit road. So BB Hange, remember, as I mentioned, who started 41st in this race, only gained 3 positions, was in the back all day long. And thanks to pit strategy, he now moves up he's going to be moved up into the 2nd position. So this is definitely an interesting call there by BB Hange and that team, the number 95 camp. They're doing everything they can here to try to keep that points lead. Now, let's go back and call and see what happened that caused our 2nd yellow flag of the race here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That all just happened so suddenly. That all just happened completely out of nowhere. So now we need to figure out just exactly what happened that caused that yellow flag. Oh my. Oh my goodness. So this was probably when green flag pit stops were just getting started. So this is focusing in on Zachary Fitzwater. Then it looks like everybody was going high to try to avoid all the other cars that were coming down pit road. Dale Johnson was one amongst the first to try to get down to pit road, but you see here, Fitzy and Durrani just kept riding and riding and riding up the track and all the way up until this happens. Taylor on his lid, upside down. And you see Sebastian Palmer getting involved. Stephen Colon. Daniel Adams gets a piece. Kyler Sustry in the 11. Tatiana Noguera. Bob Floyd. Oh, yeah, Bob Floyd just almost had it missed and then gets clipped. Derek Hamill, Travis Crampton going by on the outside. And you saw Stephen Colon on his lid. Then Ryan Durrani, I believe. Yeah, Durrani was still sitting. Right here. And then here comes Terry Walker. Actually, Terry Walker, I think, eventually piles up over here. Let's see who he runs into. Who is the unfortunate soul that Terry Walker runs into? Let's follow along. Oh, he rams right in the back of the 11 of Sustry. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is just absolutely unfortunate there for Terry Walker. Just minding his own business all the way up until this happens. And then up here, Alex Rampus and Michael Young getting together. So this was the second crash that was amongst the second yellow flag. So Young, who was just a couple laps down, getting turned by Alex Rampus, who I believe was also a lap down. Steidl successfully misses it, along with Wood and Taylor. But however, Vidal and Bryce Egan just not so fortunate. Vidal hitting the 18, and that sent him into the path of the 5 of Bryce Egan. And that's going to end the day of both Egan and also PJ Vidal. Michael Young, I wouldn't be too surprised if he pulled his car back behind the wall as well. But if he ends up, getting back out there to finish the race and try to get as many points as he can before Bristol in a couple of weeks, I'd be surprised if he manages to do that. Nathan Stapleton getting by, just narrowly missing the 18. But what a turn of events here from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What a turn of events. For race number 3 on the season, we have got a lot more retirees now than what we did before. So it looks like Bryce Egan. So Colin Block is going to have some company in the garage area, and that's going to include Bryce Egan, PJ Vidal, Sebastian Palmer, Terry Walker, Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Durrani, Stephen Colon, Tatiana Noguera, Kyler Sustry, Michael Young, and Tyler Belladonna. All those cars pull behind the wall with 26 laps to go here in the Pennzoil 400, live from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I believe we are going to get one to go this time by. That is 100% the case. So we'll be restarting with 25 laps of racing to go. And your top 10 is going to look like this, coming back to the green flag. Of course, Val Mosco, who has just been absolutely dominating this race. He is your race leader with the 95 of BB Hange, using pit strategy to his advantage, moving up into the second position with Nia Steidl third. Then fourth would be Damian Kyle Wood, and then Skylar Taylor would be completing your top 5. Along with Josh Lee sitting in the 6th position, not finishing there, but currently sitting in the 6th position. Matt Jones 7th, Michael DeFeo 8th, Alex Savantali 9th, and Mitchell O'Brien coming out and restarting inside of the top 10, with now coming to 25 laps of racing to go here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You see those 5 cars lined up on the inside. Wells, Simpson, Stapleton, Rampus, Gronkowski. They are 1 lap down or more, and then Dale Johnson and John Felber both on the tail end of the lead lap. So Johnson is going to lead the field to green flag, even though he is the unofficial leader. but he's only leading the pack to green. He's not the official race leader in Val Moscow. So green flag, 25 to go. BB Hange all over the back bumper, the 88. As they hit the back straightaway. With all this lap traffic up here, it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to go here. 3 wide, trying to get by Gronkowski. Whoa, whoa, what in the world just happened there with Casey Wells? Well, what? I'm very confused as to what happened there. Wells just went spinning down on the inside. Must have hit some form of an invisible barrier and just went ricocheting towards the infield. And BB Hange is actually coming to pit road, so that pit strategy did not pay off whatsoever. That's a shame. That is such a shame. I thought BB Hange was going to get himself a good position to retain his points lead. That is not going to be the case. Val Moscow trying to get by Stapleton and Felber. Currently 3 abreast right now. Nia Seidel all over the back bumper of this number 40 of the number 88. And she's going to try to do everything she can to try to wrestle this race lead away from Moscow. And if you're Val Moscow and you get that race lead wrestled away from you, that has to be the most frustrating thing, especially after dominating this race, leading almost every single lap since the drop of the green flag. That would be very frustrating if that were to happen. But so far, Steidl is running out of time, but still has plenty of time all at once. Coming to 20 laps to go next time by, trying to get around Nathan Stapleton. But so far, having a little bit of issues because, again, that outside line has just been so strong all day long. Coming to 20 to go. And Moscow is now starting to check out in the number 88 machine. Heading back down into turn number 1. And as Steidl is fighting for the second position, all that's allowing is for Skylar Taylor and John Felber to close in. So they come off of turn number 4. Looks like Stapleton is going to let Steidl go. So now Steidl has some clear traffic between herself and Val Moscow, who's now rebuilt that 1 second advantage over the 41 machine with now 18 laps to go here in the Pennzoil 400. A 1.08 second advantage now is what Moscow has over Nia Steidl. Hitting the back straightaway once again. Back into turn number 3. Focus back up over here. Looks like Mitchell O'Brien, who restarted 10th, is now moved up inside of the top 5 for the first time today. Will Parrish, who is in the middle of the pack, is now showing up inside of the top 10 for the first time. Same for Edson Hernandez, Roberto Crown Jr., Rogel Dorn is here, and Travis Crampton, who is en route for a top 10 last weekend before getting caught up in a crash with 10 to go. He's now actually sitting inside of the top 10, currently sitting, guess where? 10th. So he has a shot of redemption when it comes down to trying to secure a top 10 finish here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Michael DeFeo just outside of the top 10 right now. Rogel Dorn trying to get a spot here on Roberto Crown Jr. That would be for the 8th position coming off of turn number 4. Dorn not successful in starting that battle. And Roberto Crown Jr. still holding on to that 8th position as of right now. Steidl has cut the lead down to about 0.8 of a second the last time they crossed the stripe. Moscow still trying to do everything he can to grow that lead. He only lost 1/100th. Doesn't make a huge difference. But so far, these two cars of the 27 and the 20, they don't really have a whole lot of damage on their cars. Actually, they don't have any damage at all to their race cars. But they are definitely hindering the progress of Moscow trying to grow his race lead over the number 41 of Steidl, who has now cut the lead down by about 3/4 of a second. But as you just saw, Moscow did get by Johnson, and that is something that Steidl does not want to see because that's just more traffic to deal with. And we've seen how difficult it is to get around other cars all day long. We've seen it. It's not easy. Now down to about a half a second, almost 2/3 of a second between Johnson and between Moscow and Steidl. Just closing in ever so slightly. 5/100ths were gained there. Now closer to about a half a second between the 88 and the 41. And Moscow still has yet to get by this number 20 of Jeremiah Simpson. He's going to attempt to do so here, going through three, coming out of turn number 4, coming to 10 laps to go. So far, unsuccessful. Now it's down to about a half a second exact between the 88 and the 41. Down the back straightaway. And the difference between second and third is just about 4 seconds. Damian Kyle Wood. And look at this pack right here. Skylar Taylor has now moved up into the 3rd position, just edging out the number 38 here. And O'Brien's going to try to make it 3 wide. Not the case. Thankfully, there was a hole up there on that top side, and DK Wood just filled it. But you see the gap between the 88 and the 41 that is now down to under a 1/4 of a second. Steidl has pretty much all but caught the 88 of Val Moscow. But Johnson is between both of the 1st and 2nd place cars. And this is definitely going to be difficult here for Nia Steidl to try to get around this number 27, at least in the best way possible, to where she's not having to waste too much time trying to get by this car of Dale Johnson. And Moscow just grew that lead again. It's about a 1/4 of a second, but now it's going to grow just a little bit more to probably about a 1/3 of a second. 6 laps of racing to go here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Actually, that lead didn't grow too much there. It actually might have just stayed about the same between the 88 and the 41. But they are also in the process pulling away from the rest of these other cars right here. But they are 3 wide up here, coming to 5 to go. This may not look too good, but they're holding it together for the most part here. Rogaldorn on the bottom, Wood in the middle, John Felber, who, remember, is a lap down, riding around the top side. And Damian Kyle Wood's going to retain the 4th position. Skylar Taylor sitting in 3rd. Rogaldorn just rounding out the top 5. Michael DeFeo rocketing around the outside of Mitchell O'Brien. And you see that lead between the 88 and the 41. The gap has grown back to a 1/3 of a second. So he hit the back straightaway once again. Coming to 3 laps to go. And I think, yes, indeed, now Moscow has cleared the number 20 of Jeremiah Simpson. At this point, it is just smooth sailing for the 88 of Val Moscow. Started on the pole and is led He's easily led the most laps. Clinched all the points that you could think of. But there's one more thing that he has to do, and that's claim those 10 bonus points for winning the race. And he's 2 laps away from doing just that, if he can hang on. They're also closing in on the 95 of BB Haynes, who I thought was going to get himself a good result to try to retain his points lead, but just didn't quite play the cards right there, unfortunately. And he's going to be finishing 1 lap down. Looks like it's going to be in the 26th position. White flag, 1 lap to go here for Val Moscow. Looks like Nia Steidl is just going to have to settle for the 2nd position. Still a great job nonetheless. Working their way down the back straightaway one final time. Turn 3. And now coming through turn number 4. Val Moscow. He started first. He's going to finish first and dominate this race. Val Moscow takes the checkered flag and wins the Pennzoil 400 from Las Vegas. For the National Guard and Chevrolet, Val Moscow gets it done. First win of the season. In 3 races, 3 different winners. Not the most exciting racing in the whole wide world, but for what it was, you got to admit, it wasn't too bad. Could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't too bad. Nia Steidl, though, coming home inside of the 2nd position. Great job for her. This is going to be definitely a great points day for her. Rogel Dorn coming home 3rd in this race. Damian Kyle Wood finishing in 4th, and Skylar Taylor completes the top 5 with Roberto Crown Jr. 6th. Then 7th would be the number 40 of Michael DeFeo. 8th, Mitchell O'Brien. 9th, Matthew Hubert, and Edson Hernandez completing the top 10. Here's a look at the rest of your results right here. From 11th down to 22nd position, they all finished on the lead lap here in this race. And then as you see from 23rd on down to 30th, they were 1 lap down or more, with Casey Wells finishing 7 laps down. And then from 31st down to 42nd, they all unfortunately went out of the race very late in the going on lap 106, lap 104 to lap 106, right around that area. And we ended up only with 30 cars finishing out on the racetrack. But still, nonetheless, a really good race, to say the least. I mean, I'll say. But at the end of the day, Val Moscow dominating every single aspect of in one race. Not only gets the 40 bonus, not only gets the 40 points for finishing in first, he gets that 1 bonus point for leading a lap, the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, and the 10 bonus points for winning the race right here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That was a great race. Now, keep an eye on the Discord. Keep an eye on the NRLOA Discord for the point standings after the YouTube premiere ends. And coming up in 2 weeks, we'll be at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the running of the Food City 500. That action goes down on the 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I want to say 1 p.m. Eastern Time at the Bristol Motor Speedway for race number 4 on the season. But that's going to do it for McDonald's Cup Series action from here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good racing all around. For what it wasn't too bad, but at the end of the day, again, Val Moscow winning this race, not just in dominating fashion, but in convincing fashion all at once. Well, that's going to do it here for our streaming festivities here today. Maybe, maybe not, depending on when I get back from my event later tonight. I might be doing a late night stream. Probably might go for a couple hours, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for McDonald's Cup Series action from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And on behalf of everybody else, I'm Elijah Leonard signing out. And if as far as normal streaming festivities, I might be back later tonight But as far as McDonald's Cup Series festivities, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks at the Bristol Motor Speedway for race 4 of the McDonald's Cup Series. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.